everyone. My name is McCluster. I'm the senior pastor at Shiloh Baptist Church in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I met many of you on the other side of the Capitol just a few months ago when we turned back tolls. You remember that, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're in a dangerous time in our country right now.
Yes.
Where our future is going to be decided by how we continue to treat our citizens. As an African American man, and as a pastor who served for 26 years in this state, I should not have to be afraid that my son or my daughter is going to be killed when they go out to go to church and on the way home from Bible study, or when they go out to eat somewhere. Now, if you disagree with that fact, then boo me. But I believe if I was talking about your children, like I'm talking about my children, you'd feel the same way that I do. And so part of the challenge, I'm an independent. I've been an independent for 30-some years. I'm going to remain an independent. I owe no allegiance to any party. What I do owe is allegiance to God and to the truth.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So I want to challenge everyone to look beyond slogans, because slogans have a life of their own and have a meaning of their own. But instead, if you're a believer in God, then look to God and ask yourself the question, what's going on in our country today? You know, I could go voter fraud on both sides of the aisle and spend 45 minutes talking about each one. I won't do that to you. But you recognize that there's fraud going on all over our country. In every level of government. Now we fought and had to threaten the governor to make sure that there was not an executive order placed on the churches to stop us from exercising our First and 14th Amendment rights to come back together to worship, wearing masks, distance, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm grateful to God that we prevailed and there was no executive order put on the churches in America. Amen? Amen. In the same way, I cannot stand by and say I would be satisfied if there are laws in place in the state where I have come and made my home for more than 40 years and expect if God would allow me the same to rest my head against a pillow and die. I would not be a person of faith or a person of truth if I did not challenge any law or anything that puts my children or your children or our freedoms in danger in this place. So I remember when I was working on a community law enforcement engagement piece. And we talked about the idea that all lives matter. And people got upset on one side and the other side when I said all lives matter. Well, if I say all lives matter, it also means that black lives matter. It also means that white lives matter. And every other color you can think of matters. Well, I want to hear you on that one. So I stand on that side of the Capitol, I stand on this side of the Capitol, but wherever I stand for what is true and what is right. So we will, again, when the tax comes back for what's been given to people next year, and they try to say, oh, we need tolls to pay for those subsidies we gave you, we're going to say no tolls, right? No tolls. I pray with the same fervency you join me in the shout when I said no and you said tolls, and I said tolls and you said no. When I say that the children of this state that are born and raised in America have the right to peaceful enjoyment of the liberties that we all are guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America. So I will never stand by. I will never stand by. If a child from Bridgeport was attacked by a police officer, I would not stand by. If a child from Derby, where I live, was attacked by a police officer, I would not stand by. If a child from Bridgeport, where I pastor, is attacked by a police officer, I shall not stand by. And I'm just trying to figure out the people that are trying to say that there should not be the same accountability for police officers that there are for doctors and for bus drivers and for firefighters and everyone else who takes the hand to serve in the public interest. I am not against police officers. I am against laws that allow bad police officers to sully the name of being a good police officer. I'm against the law that will allow a bad officer to stain the righteous life of a good officer who has served the public black, white, brown, and everybody else. And if we don't stand for that, we don't stand for America. We don't stand for the rights that are guaranteed by our Constitution. And we don't stand for truth, justice, and the American way. So as we go from this place, wherever you go today, go home realizing that every person you see that's a resident of the United States is here by the grace of God. And realize that every life, what came to me once, my children are doing great. What came to me once was that when I had gone to the street where Jason the groom had been shot down in Bridgeport, Connecticut, I realized that could have been my child, or that could have been your child, because our children do all kinds of things. But we need to make sure that the laws in this country that are enacted are just and fair and equitable for every citizen, for every resident that lives in the state of Connecticut. And if you believe that, then just give God the praise, and I'll go.